Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. I'm Edfitri Muflihatusyawal. I'm a college student of Indonesia University of Education and major Science of Islamic Religion. So on this video I will deliver something like an answer for the questions that I accept for middle test of Tafsir Tarbawi Lesson. There are 4 questions about that. And then, I'll answer it one by one. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So this is the first answer. For the first topic that we were talking about, the purpose of human creation, that is to becoming Khalifa and in the world, and also worshipping Allah. Those purpose of human creation exist on the Holy Quran. The purpose of human creation to become a Khalif exists on the Surah Al-Baqarah verse 30, and the purpose of human to worship Allah exists in Surah Adz-Dzariyat verse 56. Bismillah, I will recite the Surah Al-Baqarah firstly. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. That was the 30 verse of Surah Al-Baqarah. I will recite the translation of this verse in Bahasan. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ, dan ingatlah saat Tuhanmu berkata, lil malaikati, kepada para malaikat, inni ja'ilu fil ardi khalifah, aku hendak menjadikan khalifah di muka bumi. Qalu, mereka berkata, ataj'alu fiha man yufsidu fiha, apakah engkau akan menjadikan orang yang merusak di sana, wa yasfikud dima, dan menumpahkan darah, wa nahnu, sedangkan kami, nusabbihu bihamdika, bertasbih dan memuji namamu, wa nuqaddisu lak, dan menyucikan namamu. Qala, dia Allah berfirman, inni a'lamu ma la ta'lamun, sesungguhnya aku mengetahui apa yang tidak engkau ketahui. From this verse we could know that malaika, the angels, already know the typical of human. The human really like to make something bad. It is something like a war or something like that. Menumpahkan darah. It's a kind of war. Allah already decided human as a leader in the world in order to gain human welfare. Not stop at that point, but Allah also gave us a lot of potential that we could explore, and this is the function of learning and teaching, that we could explore our potential that has given by Allah in order to gain human welfare. We need to use the potential wisely, of course, and we as a teacher need to upgrade need to find the potential, need to use that in order to upgrade, in order to gain human welfare, not only in the world but also in the hereafter. So we are not working only in the world, for the world, but also for the hereafter. I will recite the second ayah from Surah Adz-Dzariyat, verse 56. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. The meaning of this ayah, the translation of this ayah in Bahasa is وما خلقت, dan tidaklah aku menciptakan, al-jinna, jin, wal-insa, dan manusia, illa liya'budun, kecuali untuk beribadah kepadaku. After knowing the translation of Surah Al-Zariyat, verse 56, we could know that our purpose in this world from Allah, that we need to worship Allah. Yeah, sometimes we did forget that purpose, but then we need to take back ourselves to worship Him, because that was the purpose of our life. So to make sure ourselves that, of course, we need to search a lot of knowledge about how, and about how, also probably why we need to worshiping Allah. It could be support your spirit to keep worshiping Allah. For the second question, we will talk about the 4 components that exist in, or being a basic of a concept in Islamic education. The first is tarbiyah. Tarbiyah, defined by the expert, is about a growth and development, a caring and nurturing. It's a kind of process to a perfection. It's kind of process to humanizing human beings, and the process of growing potential that exists in human. And the second component is ta'lim, or we also know that as teaching. It's a kind of transmission of knowledge, or an attempt to make someone understand about some knowledge. And the third is tazkiyah. Tazkiyah also means cleansing and purifying the soul from bad things and make our soul fulfilled with the good things. It's a kind of process that trying to improve on someone's to get better. And the fourth is ta'dib. Ta'dib, also known as a process of cultivating a good morals, to make someone having a good morals, having a good manners, so there will exist human beings with a great character. And then we will go to the third topic, talking about the principle of Islamic education according to Dr. Aam Abdussalam, our lecturer in Tafsir Tarbawi Lesson, that there are 9 principles that occur in Islamic education. The first is Rahmaniyah. Rahmaniyah, also known as affection. So, on this case, we as a teacher, we need to have an affection to be shared to the student in order to make them comfortable. So after they feeling comfortable with that, it will be easier for us to go through the the learning process. This principle is based on Al-Quran, Surah Ar-Rahman, verse 1 to 4. This principle or occur because of we need to make the student feel our affection to them, so they will be easier to accept what we deliver to them, especially in the knowledge that we will share. And the second is takamuliyah or integrative. This principle, in fact, is binding for things by standing on the paradigm of Iqra. Iqra is not only reading the text, but it's also reading the situation around us. It's bind four things. The first is we need to realize that human beings, it's psychical, it's intelligent, and also it's spiritual, is a unity. It consists as one, it exists as a one thing, one united thing, which must then develop it by leading to ilahiyah matter. The purpose of the learning process, it's for Allah. The second thing is human being has a dependence, whether on human or on nature, also on Allah. But on this point, we need to point that on our learning process, we need to apply this principle to make our student realize that we have a dependency to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third is about the learning object, learning resource. Then it must be integrated between the social, science, general science with the religious science. And let's go to the fourth things, that on the learning strategies and methods, we need to combine between a thing that normally divided into two, a thing that often separated, such as ratio and feeling, or theory and practice, and concrete and abstract, etc. So this should be takamuliyah integrative by combining that four things while we standing on the paradigm of Iqra. That we need to, what first is man, the psycho, intelligent, and spiritualism is a unity, is one thing. And the second, human existence has its dependency. And the third, that learning research to be integrated between the general science and religious science. And the fourth is learning strategies. We need to integrate it between ratio and feeling, between theory and practice, between concrete and abstract, etc. And the third is shumuliyah, all comprehensive. On this principle, we need to realize that all of the things that exist in this world is a thing to be learned. There are a lot of things that we can take from everything that exists in this world. That a lot of things that exist in this world could be an object for learning, even if it's abstract or concrete. So all of the things that exist in this world could be an object for the learning process. And then the fourth is wasalia. Wasalia, it means that we need to place that Allah as a subject of learning, and we as a human is the object of learning. It means that all of knowledge the human gets, that knowledge was from Allah. So Allah is a teacher and human is a student here. We need to realize also that the Prophet Adam was through a long learning process with Allah. There's a process where Allah teach the Prophet Adam until he able to know everything. So on learning, there are a lot of process, a long process, not a short process at all. And then the fifth, it is tawazuniyah, or balance. As we know that we're living in the world, and there will be an upcoming world, as we know that is hereafter, that there will be a heaven, and so on this principle, on learning process, we need to balance balancing and integrating the worldly, what we learn. So we make balance between a thing for the I think that's supposed to be in a world, and I think that's supposed to be in hereafter. So we need to make it proportional. I think that we did in this world need to be proportional between we doing something for hereafter and for dunya, something like that. And the sixth is istimrariyah, or continuous. It's also related, or also known for us as a long life education. So our learning process need to be dynamic and visionary, not just stuck at one time, but also make a great development that we will never stop to learn, because there are a lot of things to learn in this world. So the principle is continuous. Our learning should be continuous. As we know before, that the Prophet Adam also have a long process on learning with Allah. And the seventh is waqi'iyah, or contextual. We already know, or we already understand about what is contextual mean. So we make all of the things around us to be our object of learning. We could look for the meaningful and the functional thing from, and also the relationship from the reality. We could take a lot of things that's called hikmah. It's also called hikmah, that on everything that happens in this world, everything that exists in this world have its hikmah. And then the eight is Rabbaniya, or divinity. In fact, it's all related to Allah. We need to realize that the process should be associated to Allah. It is something like making Allah as a source and the purpose of knowledge. So everything that we learn need to be from Allah, and everything that we learn need to present it for Allah. And then the ninth is uswiyah, or exemplary. It is something like, as you know, that Allah bring the Prophet Muhammad to the world to be the example for Muslim and all the human being. That's because of he has a good akhlaq. So in this case, we as a teacher need to behave in a good manner, so we could be an example for our student, so they would believe on us, they would see us as a good figure that able to copy, that able to be an example on living in this world. That's all for the third theme, the principle in Islamic education, according to Dr. Aam Abdussalam. We will go through to the fourth topic, that we're talking about the tafsir of verse 1 to 4 of Surah Al-Alaq. That from this ayah we could develop the concept of Islamic education. As in the first verse, on the first verse of the surah, there is a word iqra, which etymologically means as reading. However, this word could be mean, and it is something like having a broader sense, having a large meaning, including reading contextually, reading the situation, not only reading a text, but also reading contextually and reading the situations. And then, as in the second verse, there's the word alaq. It refers to something like a blood clot, but the attribution it's developed during the time. So the attribution it's changed day by day. But alaq in this ayah also could be interpreted as dependence of God, dependence of Allah, physically, and even in a social. We have a dependence on Allah, on our physic, and psyche also, even social. And on the third verse, we could find Iqra wa rabbukal akram, which is all learning process must be based on Allah and sourced from Allah and also from Allah. And on the fourth of on the third verse of this surah, we could find Iqra wa rabbukal akram, which could be interpreted all learning process must be based only on Allah, search from Allah and for Allah. And for the fourth verse of this surah, there is a word, Al-Qalam, that etymologically interpreted as a pen. However, the meaning of Al-Qalam itself could be even broader, could be even larger, because due to Allah as the first teacher for the Prophet Adam, and this Al-Qalam could be attributed to the nature, which is being the medium of our learning process. Alhamdulillah, that's all I get from this lesson on this until this middle semester, in hope that we could get the broader knowledge from this lesson, especially Tafsir Tarbawi. Thanks a lot. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.